Welcome to the Coffee with Closer show, where we interview real investors that are doing real deals in this current market about how they are finding, funding, and flipping the deals. We talk about what they are doing that is working and the things they did that didn't work so that you can save time and money as you become a real investor. Welcome to the Coffee with Closer show. Hey, I'm back, guys, and I've got another great Coffee with Closer show with you today. We're going to dig into a wholesale deal that most people think, hey, look, I'm going to make $5,000 or $10,000, but Jason, you got one you made over 20 grand on, is that right?
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome. So we're going to talk about his deal. We're going to dig into his deal. You know, this is the real place to talk to real investors, to get real advice about real deals. Why? Because the gurus ain't doing deals, baby. Investors are. That's why we built this show, man. So, Jason, let's dig into this real quick. I always start with this one question because I think it's important for people to really get their head around it. Somewhere in our journey, we get this crazy idea we want to be a real estate investor, right? And for everybody, it's different, right? Like I read a book or my uncle or my aunt, whatever the case may be, before you got to where you are now, which let's just throw that out there. If you looked back, about how many deals are you guys doing a year right now?
We'll do around 30 to 40 a year.
Okay, so you're
between rehab and wholesale, though.
Yeah, so you're moving. You're doing 40 deals a year. A lot of people would love to just do 10 deals a year, right? So you're knocking out 40 a year. But it didn't start that way for you, right?
Right, obviously not. No, it didn't.
Absolutely not. There's a grind to this, right? So let's go back, man. And I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on it because I want to get into the deal, which is what the audience wants to hear. But I want to know, what was that pivotal moment? What was that moment that you said, I'm going away from this lifestyle and I'm going full force towards real estate? Was it someone, something, or what was it?
Well, absolutely. The idea first got into my head about real estate from my uncle. Who was doing some creative finance type deals in North Carolina, where I'm from, in Charlotte. So the initial idea got in my head from him. And I started out, I tried a couple of things, I put some bandit signs out and didn't really work that well for me at first. But over time, I figured some things out. But and actually, me and my father did a couple of rehab deals together where we really didn't make that much money. It was really insignificant. Okay. But nearly 10 years ago, I said, forget this. I'm going to stop doing this on the side. And actually, I ran into, I guess many people would refer to this, I got a program called Freedom Soft.
Yeah.
Paid a whole bunch of money for it.
Yeah. That was way back in the
day. Right. So I got a lot of training from that. And from there, I said, I'm going to quit playing. I'm going to actually start a business. And almost 10 years we started a business. And the first year, we did 10 deals.
Love it. But the pivotal moment was an influence, which was your uncle, correct?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So you were watching him. He was doing real estate, and you thought, man, I need to get into this thing.
Right, because he was, and he wasn't doing like fix and flip or wholesale like a lot of people. He was doing a lot of creative stuff. So he's doing like subject to or owner holds a note and then holding that as a rental property. Right.
Let's dig for a minute, man. Right. I like to dig. Okay, I'm an interview ninja. I like to dig, man. So your uncle was doing it. I got that. He's doing creative financing. But what was it, right? Like, what was it in you that said, "Look, I'm not gonna do my job anymore. I'm gonna go." Like, what was that? Like, dude, it's scary out there, right? It's scary to be an entrepreneur. It's, that fear holds a lot of people back from moving forward, but like, can you just dig a little deep with me here? And like, what was it? Not that your uncle obviously sparked the interest, but what was it that made you commit to the journey?
What made me commit to it is I was working in a warehouse.
Okay, that'll make you commit real quick.
Working in a warehouse in Florida in the summertime when it's super hot.
Oh.
And I said, I'm tired of the idea of working for somebody else.
Yeah.
And I didn't quit my job initially. I kept my job for a few years. I didn't go cold turkey. I mean, you hear these stories about people who just drop everything. I didn't do that. And in most cases, that's not a smart thing to do.
It's not smart.
You got to get yourself a little bit of cushion.
Yeah.
But I guess what hit me is, I said, I'm tired of working in this hot warehouse. I'm tired and I jumped from job to job to job as long as I can remember. Never liked anything. Yeah. And I not that I didn't do well. I moved up, got promotions, whatever. Yep. But I just said, I can't do this anymore. And I joined people's buyers list just to get emails. So I was getting emails from all these people all over Tampa, where I did most of my investing at the time. And all these emails are coming through, and I said, there's no way these people are sending all these emails and not making money. and I heard all about all these different things. So I said, I just got tired of working the job and watching the emails. What is the email? I can name 50 different wholesalers that I joined a buyer list. Some of them probably weren't doing anything, but I knew that some of them were sending me enough properties, and I didn't even know what to do with them. And I thought, there's no way these guys are just doing this and spinning their wheels. They're doing this for a reason. They're making some money.
Right.
So it just pushed me into the job and the things I was seeing around me. I said, I gotta try my hand. I gotta get in at this.
You had to make a run at it so you didn't regret it later.
Right.
Yeah. And so if you see me writing over here, I like to take notes while you talk, okay? But I like this, warehouse worker to 40 houses a year. Man, that's a good segue right there, right? So now let's fast forward. So now here we are. How many years you been doing this, man?
I'm coming up on 10 years. Almost 10 years.
10 years. Got a decade in. Now you're going to be one of the old guys. Right. I remember when I hit my 10-year mark, it was like I had accomplished something. It was like, look, I stuck in this thing for a decade, but let's talk. So 10 years later, you're still doing it. You're still grinding. You're still putting the deals together. You're out there wholesaling. You're rehabbing. You guys are doing, I think you said anywhere from 30 to 40 houses a year. So that's roughly 3 to 4 houses a month in some cases. Right. So what would you say that most of your deals are? Are they mostly wholesales or are they mostly rehabs?
It's kind of a split. We'll do, obviously I said we'll do 30, 40 a year, but 15 to 20 of those will be rehabs on average. So
we're not cherry picking then.
Right. We're picking the ones that we like and wholesaling the ones we don't.
Right. I mean,
we have a certain criteria and a certain amount of money we want to make. If we're going to put our money on it, buy it, and just, and sometimes our money or our private investors' money on that deal, we want to make sure it's worth our time to buy, fix, and sell it.
I'm with you, man.
Because a lot of times you can make a quick $10,000, and if you fix and flip it, you make 20. I thought, well, I'll take the 10 if it's going to take me three to 6 months to get 20.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And I think most smart investors are like that, right? I think there's a pivotal moment, and I just want to spend a minute on this. A lot of times investors like myself, we start out as wholesalers because we don't have any other option, right? Right. And then we build into rehabbing, we build into rentals, we build into all the other things, but it doesn't mean we don't still wholesale, but like you said, it's only if it doesn't fit our buying criteria. It's right. Why let the lead go away if I can make a quick 10, 7, 8, 12, 14 on it? Might as well wholesale it off. And I know there's a lot of controversy out there on wholesaling and what's been going on in some of the states, but I think it all has to do with how these new wholesalers are coming in the way they're talking about it, right? They're acting like a freaking agent. They're not acting as an investor. They're saying, "Oh yeah, I'll find you a buyer." Well, that's an agent, Right.
Technically, yes. Yeah.
Right. And it's but you guys are doing it in the Carolinas, or are you still in Florida?
I'm in Florida. I actually we do most of our work in Lakeland, Florida, which is between Orlando and Tampa.
I know exactly where it is. You know Chris then?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Keller Williams. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, Chris McLaughlin.
Yeah. He's he's a great guy.
Yes, he is.
He's a great guy. All right. Well, so now let's talk about it. So let's talk about the deal that you got. So the deal we're going to talk about is a wholesale deal, correct?
Correct. It is a wholesale deal.
All right. So let's just start from like, how'd you find the deal? Like, let's just start there. Where did you get the deal at?
Okay. Well, the deal actually, a lot of people want to talk about some deep marketing strategy, but the deal actually came from a referral. So we post a lot on our personal timelines, and we have a business page on Facebook where we talk about what we do, right? We talk about, a video with a picture of a house we just bought or whatever. Yeah. So we talked a little bit about what we do. So what happened is actually a friend of my wife's who she sees all the stuff we have, and she sent a Facebook message and said, "Hey, I have a friend that's about to be foreclosed on her house," and he said, "I think maybe," and I know you talk about helping people, so I think maybe you can help my friend. Actually was her neighbor to be able to take care of her house. So it was a referral, and a message came in from Facebook.
Gotcha. And you know what's so funny though, man, is like out of 10 people I interview on this show, 7 of them will add, when I ask them about their best marketing sources, 7 of them will add in what you just said. Networking and referrals. I think people, what you just said, I think people lose the idea of what they have right in front of them, right?
Right.
The voice of saying, this is what I do, over and over and over again draws people to you, because like you said, there's people out there touting about, hey, you got to have this many dialers and you got to have this system. And it's just like, do you really, or do you just need to let everybody know what you do? I was watching a Gary V video the other day, and he was talking to a young guy trying to get into business. And Gary said, well, what's your problem? He said, well, I'm not getting enough clients. And Gary said, well, you got your phone in your hand, don't you? He goes, yeah. He goes, well, have you texted every single body in your phone and told them what you do? He was like, no. Think about that. How many people
have hundreds of connections?
Oh, right. Hundreds and hundreds of contacts in your phone, and we don't even start there. We start with, I got to go and do this big marketing plan, right?
And not that we don't do that. We do marketing, obviously, too.
But let's talk about the new person, though, Jason. I mean, the new person, a lot of times they're not coming in with, deals already being done and a big marketing budget, right?
Right.
So they got to start somewhere. So I just appreciate that you actually said that, you acknowledged that, and you can find deals through that.
Right, absolutely.
You got the deal, so you got on the phone with them. Was it an easy negotiation, or was there one thing inside that negotiation that you think actually closed the deal?
Well, initially, we really had to work on the deal because initially she was asking way too much for the house. She was at way, and we talked to her, and she said, Zillow says it's worth 150. And she said somebody else sent me an offer. She actually said somebody else sent me an offer for 120. And I asked her, I said, did that offer, did they come and view the house or anything like that? She said, no, I never knew. I didn't even know who they were. And she said, maybe I received, she thought about it, she received something from him. But they actually just it was one of these big companies that like iBuyer, had sent her a contract for 120. And never saw it. So I just went on to explain. I said, that's great. You got an offer for 120. I said, but I'll guarantee you, whenever they do send somebody to look at the house, they're going to renegotiate the price.
Yep.
So I just educate her. I said,
yep.
Your house, I know you think your house based on Zillow is worth 150. I said, but you also got to think about the condition of your house. Yep. So, because I was talking about some other houses I knew that had sold that were in much better condition than hers. And I just told her, I said, you got this person who you don't know who they are. They sent you a contract for $120,000. I guarantee they'll come back and renegotiate. I said, but you're on a timeline here, and you're about to lose your house to foreclosure, and you got to get this done quick. You can't wait on somebody to come put a house on a contract and then put it out there to try to sell it, and then come back and renegotiate because I told her, based on the price you're saying, I can guarantee you that's what they're going to do, because if at 120, I said they can't make any money.
I'm with you, man, and that's what they're doing.
So I just educated her a lot, and then so I talked to her, and I said, I would be more in the range, and I to be honest, it's for me to buy it, fix it, and I just gave her a range. We gave her a range right over the phone. I said I'd probably be somewhere between 40 and 70. I said, based on what you've told me.
Right.
And she was taken aback by that. She said, I don't want to sell it that cheap.
So how did you get her? Because a lot of times, So let's stop for a minute. So how did you get her to come back? Because a lot of times when you put an offer out like that, which is a reasonable offer, probably in the shape of the property, it can offend the seller, right? So how did you, I mean, I'm sure she probably backed up a little bit, but how did you get her back? Like, what was it that you did to get her back?
Right. Well, yeah, she was taken aback. She kind of backed up and said, she just said, well, there's no way I can sell it that low. I don't want to. And whenever somebody don't give me, whenever I typically will give a range, and some people are taken aback. So, but at first she said, she was almost ready to get off the phone with me at first. And I said, and then I said, well, let me explain why I have this range.
Right.
I said, like I said, you have the other buyer there that's interested, sent you an offer on a contract that I said, why didn't you just sign the contract and send it back and go with them?
Right.
And she said, well, I don't know them. She said, I don't know who they are. They sent me a contract in the mail. She said, I don't know them. I said, but your neighbor told us you need some help. I said, I'm here face-to-face talking with you, and I can help you, but you have to realize, based on the condition of your house, what your house is really valued at right now. So I pulled it back and I said, you got this other offer, and I asked. So whenever somebody takes it back, because I knew mine was lower than there, I just asked her, why didn't you just do it? Well, right. I don't trust them. I don't know them.
Right.
I said, we're on the phone, we're talking face to face. Your neighbor told me you had this issue, and she's a good friend of my wife, and we were just saying, we just want to come out there. I said, all we want to do is help you to get out of the situation so you don't lose your house and get nothing for it.
And that's powerful, man. I mean, right. When you're like, you don't know that. I mean, she basically told you how to close, right? She basically said, look, I don't know them. So you were able to lean in on, well, I'm right here in front of you, right? Like, you can see me, touch me. I've seen the property. My offer is real.
Right.
Like that. So that probably made her think, okay, well, he's got a good point here. I mean, I like that you could lean in on your neighbor told me.
Right. Yeah. Your neighbor and your friend told me this.
So now you've got her back on the table, and did you strike a deal right there? Did you sign a contract right there, or did it take a little bit of time to get her to sign the paper?
Well, it took a little bit of time because, first of all, the house was not in very good shape. They had a lot of stuff that's very cluttery. Yeah. So she didn't want she wanted to clean up her house before we came and saw it. I tried to get her. So, we've seen all types of houses. I guarantee we've seen way worse than whatever you got.
Right.
But we ended up waiting about 5 days before we were able to get there and take a look at the property.
Gotcha.
So we got there and we took a look at the property, and she said, and after we took a look at the property, she said, you think you can get closer to the higher end of that window? I know you said between 40 and 70, and I knew what the value of the property was. And I said, I think we can. I said, where in that window do you think you would like to be? And she said, well, I'd really like to be out of that window. She said, I'd like to get 95 for it. I said, I can understand that. And I said, based on the numbers I know, I said, we really were trying to get at the max 70.
Yeah. So
I asked her, I said, can we, I said, she said, can you budge a little bit on that? She said, well, you know what? Maybe I can do 90. So I said we're still a good distance away. So I said, you know what? But I said, since I'm trying to help you out, and I said, can we do it? I tried to get her down to 85. But I ended up meeting her at her 90 price because I knew I had a deal. But whenever I give somebody a window, I always go lower than I have to be. So I do have that negotiation space.
Of course.
So we got her down from initially. She said, "Oh, Zillow says it's worth 150. I got an offer at 120. I'd like to get it." But I said, there's no way we can get close to that. I said, I think we can work with you and get that 90.
Yeah, that's great though, man. And you know what?
Let's do it.
And I think really for everybody who's watching this, we get a lot of new people that watch these shows. I think what's really important about what you're saying right there is, there's a lot of people that tout the big phone systems and close all over the U.S., but really what you're talking about is face-to-face communication, being on the ground, being able to go actually meet them and put the deal together will win over somebody that they don't know, can't see, can't trust. Right.
In many cases, it will. It's just about even because a lot of people will talk about virtual wholesaling, and we do wholesale property sometimes that we don't see, but it comes back to the same thing. Whether I'm in front of you in person or I'm talking to you or we're talking on the phone, it's about building that rapport and building trust. And when it comes down to it, if you don't know how to build rapport and don't build trust with people and make them and be, it comes down to being real with people sometimes.
Yes.
When an offer comes from a big conglomerate or iBuyer, and I have nothing wrong with those guys. I wholesale properties to them sometimes, right? But when it comes down to sometimes face to face or on the phone, if that person really understands you care about the situation, you're not just trying to make a buck off of them, then you get a lot better response from people.
I hear you. That's great information. So you got it now you got it under contract for 90, and you wholesaled this thing.
Right. So
you already had the buyer, or did you market for the buyer?
I knew we had a good deal already. So what I did is I have an email list of people who, a lot of them are tire kickers, but I have a smaller portion of that I consider VIP buyers, people that I've worked with before.
Yep. So
I sent an email out to those guys.
Yep.
And almost immediately, a good friend of mine who lives there, also he lives close in the area, but he buys a lot of stuff in bulk. But he focuses on buying mobile homes.
Okay. But
sometimes he'll buy a single family too. So I said to him, he said, "You know what? That's not something I would buy, but I have somebody I know." He said, "But I know somebody who will buy it." He said, "He's one of my best buyers." He said, "If we send it to him and say the number's right," he said, "I think it'll be a good deal."
Okay.
So we actually got the deal from a referral from another one of our buyers.
So you got the deal from a referral, and you got the buyer from a referral.
Exactly.
This is a referral deal all the way through.
Yeah, but it happens. Sometimes it happens that way. And
I agree with you. I agree.
There's a good percentage of deals that come from that.
I just like the fact that this whole deal came from referrals.
Right. What's funny about that is, like you say, that tells somebody, like we were talking about earlier, somebody who's brand new, they don't necessarily have to go out and spend a bunch of money. They just got to tell people what they do. Really,
absolutely, right? Like,
you don't have to reach deep in your pocket or max out a credit card or something. You can just get out there and put boots on the ground.
Yeah, just start telling people like, "Hey, I'm looking to buy houses. I'm looking to buy houses." So you got it under 90. You got the buyer in place. So you sold the contract for what? 112, 100. What was it? 117.
So initially we sent it out for 120,000.
Okay.
The gentleman who came back, after referral, I talked to the gentleman who was a buyer, and he came back and said he wanted to buy it for 110. And so that's a great spread anyway, but I'm not going to just dive my price.
Yeah, like, okay.
Because with that kind of spread, very often we double close because some buyers are a little,
I'm with you.
Make a lot of money, but I'm leaving a lot of money on the table for you because even though, but what we did, we ended up at the end of the day, we met in the middle at 115. 115.
So that's how you made $25,000 on the deal.
Yeah, and the buyer was a rehabber.
Okay.
And the house is worth on the market close about 200.
Okay.
But it was a light rehab, so it needed about 25. So there's still some space on it for him. And he's the type of guy who goes in and does a lot of the work himself too. So because of that, he was able to pay a little higher than some of my buyers do because he does some of the work himself.
Yeah, and that's definitely an advantage for him, obviously, to be able to pay more. So how much time do you think you had in that deal? From the time that you got the first phone call with the seller till you actually got the deal closed and picked up your check?
I would, as far as actual time, between on the phone call and talking to the buyer, I'd say maybe 3 hours.
So
maybe three and a half hours.
That's your time involved. But what I mean by time is like, was it 3 weeks before you got paid? 4 weeks? I mean, you had 5 days there before you could actually see the house.
Well, from the first contact?
Right.
Well, I think within about 16 or 17 days from the time we contracted, we sold it. So that means about 3 weeks then. Overall, about 3 weeks.
You had about 3 weeks, but your time invested was about 3 to 4 hours.
Right.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm. It's not bad. $25,000 in 3 weeks, man.
Right. No, not bad at all. But actually, we made.
Imagine making that in the warehouse.
Yeah. Yeah. Never. But we actually we didn't clear 25. We made 22, but that's because we did offer to pay the buyer was a little bit pushy on it. So usually we'll pass all the closing costs to the buyer, but we did pay the closing costs for the seller. Because I tried to negotiate it and he wouldn't do it. We already had a big spread, so it wasn't going to be big. And then we paid the gentleman who told us about the deal, who brought us the buyer. We paid him $1,000 for that.
Gotcha.
So after all said, closing costs and taking care of the referral, the people we paid for the referrals, we cleared $22,000 net.
Well, still, that's like $7,000 a week, man. I mean, that's not a bad day. So let's talk about this then, man. I mean, and I appreciate you being transparent on that deal, right? Like, right. I think this is what helps people is like, reading books and learning is one thing, but to actually hear how a deal gets executed is another thing. You know what I mean? Right. And so I appreciate that. So I want to ask you another important question. So I know you got this from a referral, but what would you say your top 3 marketing streams are right now for generating leads into your business?
Excluding referrals or including?
Well, if referrals is in the top 3, then we leave it in there.
Yeah, referrals is definitely our top 3.
Okay.
And although there's a lot of flack against it, we still get good traction for direct mail.
Okay.
And we've added something that's over the last 3 months has become one of our top marketing things is SMS blast.
Really?
Right.
I've had somebody else talk to me about that, getting just directly into their phone. So when you say direct mail, I mean, man, that is like such a deep subject. Right. But what is it? Is there something specific in direct mail that you're going after? I mean...
Right. Well, we do. I'm sure we've heard this before. We do some list stacking.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because direct mail is an expensive marketing outlet, obviously.
Yep.
So to control that cost and get the best return for our dollars, we'll stack lists like vacants.
Yep.
And so there's like 6 or 7 things that people always hit, but there's like tax default, there's vacant, pre-foreclosure, probate, and we kind of stack those on each other to get a tighter list.
So you're pulling like an out-of-state owner list, and then you're stacking it with, people in foreclosure, that might have a code violation. Right.
Yeah. Just an idea of that is when you stack it, so it makes a higher percentage chance that is that could be motivated seller.
Well, and I like, you call it stacking. I know that's a common phrase. I call it stacking too. And the way I explain it is you're stacking the pain, right? You're just getting more opportunities. And this is kind of the way I try to help the new person understand stacking. I'm like, look, if you go pull an out-of-state list and it's 8,000 people, well, that's a big budget you got to use for 8,000 people. But when you stack it with 2 panes, that 8,000 might turn into 600 people. But here's the thing. That's the 600 people you were looking for in that 8,000 anyways.
Right. Because you're looking for the people with the most pain.
Right. So it's like...
Well, they're the ones that need you the most to get them out of their situation.
That's exactly right. So that's cool, man. So your direct mail is more on stacking, and that is that's a common thing now. So let me ask you this. Is there a specific software you're using for stacking, or are you going to like a list aggregator and having them stack it for you?
I've been using when I skip trace my stuff for texting, I use a service called batch skip tracing.
Oh, look, man. I got their little phone thing on here.
Right. And we were sending out to an aggregator before, and now they've got a list stacker, and we've started to use that.
Okay, from BST?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. No, I was just down at a mastermind they were at, and we started talking, and they gave me this thing. That's cool. Yeah, they're a pretty cool little company, man. And well, not little. They're getting really big, actually.
Right. They're adding a lot of services now.
Man, they sure are. So, well, that's cool, man. So, all right. So, 2 very important questions I got to ask you, man. When you were doing that deal, what's one thing inside of that deal that you said, man, we did this exactly the way we were supposed to do it. We need to do that over and over and over again. What was one thing that you just nailed it?
One thing that we nailed it.
Yeah.
I would say we really nailed the negotiation because we created a large spread. And so I guess I would go back to what we did the best was building rapport and gaining trust from the seller.
I think that's wonderful. And so that's something that you could carry on and on through every deal forward. Okay, so now here's the other one, right? Everybody always likes to talk about the good. What's one thing that you did that you're like, man, we shouldn't have done that?
Well, I'll say, the buyer was a little difficult, to be honest with you.
Okay.
He was a very pushy type gentleman.
Yeah.
So I kind of summarized that into a quick phone call, but it's actually several phone calls, because he came back and said things like, well, because the seller had like stainless steel appliances, and she wanted to take them. And he said, well, if I'm paying $115 for it, either I want you to leave me the appliances, or I want you to give me a $2,000 reduction. I said, first of all, those are used appliances. We went through all this thing, went back and forth, and I gave in a little bit, but I didn't pay him money. So I said, you know what? I said, one way or the other, you know what? I said, I'll get the appliances to stay. I wish I would have said, you know what? It's $2,000. Those appliances aren't worth that much. Let's go with the price. I wish I would have stuck to my guns on that.
Gotcha.
Instead of it. But what I actually did is, another reason why the profit went down to 22 is I went to the homeowner and said, hey, I know you say you want to keep these appliances, but you're moving into an apartment where they already have appliances.
Right.
And she said, but they're worth at least a little bit. I said, what if I give you $500 for your appliances?
Yeah.
And she agreed to it. So I paid her $500 to leave the appliances. If I were to go back, I would have stuck to my guns, because I think the guy wanted the property. He wouldn't have been sticking with me. I should have just stuck to my guns and made it.
He was just trying to feel like he was just trying to feel like he was winning something, right?
Yeah, exactly. And we all do that when we buy something.
Of course we do. Right? That's why I like to ask that question, right? Because, everybody always talks about the good in every deal, right? But I think we learn from the things that we think back on and be like, man, I should have done that different, or I shouldn't have gave in on that, And it's not that killed the deal. Obviously, you make $22,000 on the deal, right? But it's the little things that you correct throughout your journey to make your business better. And so
the thing I like about it is I know from research and talking to the seller that she had, at some point she had paid the mortgage off completely, and she got a home equity line of credit, and then she got a divorce, and all these things happened to her, and she hadn't paid that for like 7 months, and she was about to lose the house. But you think about it, she had a mortgage of, I said 30, wrong. She had a mortgage of 60. So that means if I bought it for 90, and that means she walked away with $30,000 cash. We put her in a good position.
Yeah, you did.
So we made some money, but we also put her in position to get.
Everybody made money. She made money, you made money, and the buyer made money. So
right, exactly. It was a win for everybody.
Absolutely. So Jason, what's your plans for 2020? What's the goals? What are you going to do, man?
Well, we're going to do more of the same, but I have been watching the market, because we're. I'm sure it's similar to where I don't know how the market is where you're at, but we are at the tip top.
Oh, we're there. We're hot, man. Whew, we're up in Huntsville, Alabama, man. So
we're looking at maybe cooling off on the rehab side and pushing more towards wholesaling, simply because the market at this point being so high, it makes uncertain, a little bit of uncertainty, and then we're going to have elections coming up. All that stuff leading up there, and all that stuff, you don't think it does, but all that stuff directly affects the housing market.
It does.
So we're watching that. So our idea is to back off a little bit on the rehab and be even more picky about which ones we actually close on and buy and fix, right. And lean more towards the wholesaling side next year. Just because I am watching the market, and if it does start shifting, although we've done research, and if we buy and fix and sell a house, we're in and out within 6 to 8 months. In the history of the market, it's never swung, because we try to buy with 30% equity when we buy.
Okay.
So in the history of the market, in 6 to 8 months, it's never swung that quickly.
Right. I'm with you.
So we can still be in and out as long as but we have to just pick more cosmetic. Not heavy rehabs that we can get in and out.
You don't want to be stuck in the deal for 6 to 8 months.
Right. We want to be something we can get in and out quickly.
Yeah.
Where maybe instead of a month or two renovation, maybe we can be in 2 or 3 weeks
Yeah.
buy it 2 or 3 weeks back on the market.
Get in and out of it in a couple of months.
Yeah, quickly.
And sold it too. No, that's good advice for everybody. Speaking of that, so what kind of advice would you give to a new person right now coming into the space, or what advice would you give to Jason if you were coming into the market right now?
If I was coming into the market right now, see, the market's different when I started, because when I came in 10 years ago, it was at the bottom.
Oh, I know.
So we were in Florida, because we were crushed in Florida. So we were putting stuff under contract for sometimes $10,000. And it was the bottom. So when I got in, I would feel like that was a better time to start.
I agree.
Because the market was low. So if I'm coming in with somebody now, I would say you want to go in you want to push on wholesaling, because if you're brand new, the last thing you want to do is buy a house, and you might not get it done near as quickly as I can at this point now. Because when I first started rehabs, it took me a lot longer until I got a better system and better contractors.
Right.
So I would say if somebody is new, I would say get out there and network, let people what you know what to do, and lean more to the wholesaling side, because of you don't know what the market's going to do, and wholesaling works in any market.
Oh, isn't that the truth?
Right. It just the buyer might change a little bit, but wholesaling works in any market. So I would say keep your risk low.
Yep.
And dive in on wholesaling.
Okay. No, that's great advice, man. Hey, listen, so some of you that are watching this, you're probably going, man, this guy's got some good advice. His name is Jason Gaston, and there'll be a link in the description. You guys can check him out on his social media and check out his website. So we'll put that on there. If you're on the podcast, just check the description. If you're on the YouTube channel, just scroll down and check the description. Follow this guy, man. He's out there making it happen. He's swinging and hitting home runs, man. 22 on a wholesale deal. I love the headline I wrote down here. Wholesale worker to 40 houses a year. I mean, warehouse worker to 40 houses a year. Hey, before I let you go, Jason, I have some hot fire questions for you.
All right.
All right, you ready?
I'm in the hot seat now. Huh?
I got my coffee going here. For those of you that didn't see the coffee cup today, sorry I'm late. I didn't want to come. Jason, what's the best place you've been to vacation at?
The best place I've been to vacation.
Yep.
Last year I went to Paris. That was pretty cool.
That's nice.
Yeah, me and my wife is. When I met my wife, first thing she told me is one of her things she just wanted to do was go to Paris. I said, we're gonna get there. So we went to Paris last year.
So did you go to the Lovers Bridge and put a lock on the bridge?
We did. We did walk across that and everything. Yes. You know what? When we went there, they had to change it a little bit because there were so many locks.
I heard that.
The thing fell off.
I heard that the weight was like tearing the bridge down.
So they had to redo the whole thing. So
wow, that's awesome.
So we did go there. Yes.
All right, Jason. What was your first automobile?
My first automobile was a hand-me-down from my parents. It was this ugly car called a Dodge Colt.
I love it, man. What's your favorite season or holiday?
My favorite, I would say Christmas.
I love it, man. I'm the guy that puts the tree up before Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah?
And my family come over. They're like, it's not even Thanksgiving yet. I'm like, it's okay. Hey, what's your favorite podcast?
My favorite podcast? I listen to Gary Vee a lot. I like his podcast.
Yeah. Gary Vee shared some. Oh, I just shared it with you earlier about the phone. Yeah, it was just like it hit you in the face, right? It was like, how simple was that? Right. What's your favorite food, man?
Well, I'm a southeastern American guy, so my mom makes good Southern cooking. So this makes me sound like super country. Right. I like chicken and dumplings.
I grew up on chicken and dumplings. Yeah. I could scare some people. We didn't always put chicken in our dumplings. All right, man. Are you an early riser or do you sleep in?
I would say medium. I get up about 7 o'clock in the morning.
That's early for most people, man. That's early. It seems like all the people I interview, most of the, guys that come on here are successful in business. They're all up by 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, man. They're all up, ready to go.
Well, I have some friends that talk about that are also investors. Oh, I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I say, that's good for you, but I'm just not getting up at 4 o'clock.
Well, if I had a
4
choice,
o'clock to be successful.
right? If I had a choice, I'd wake up about 6:30 or so. But man, I got small kids. 5:30.
Oh, got no choice.
Yeah, they're in my room. Dad. I'm like, okay, I'm up. All right, what's your favorite book that you read lately, or auditable? Either one.
So what I'm currently reading right now, a book called The 12-Week Year.
Oh, look at here.
Coincidence, huh?
It's a good book, man. It's a good book. I love it. Good. That is a good.
I love books on productivity. So I'm trying to get more done in a shorter amount of time.
Well, that book definitely lays it out for you. All right, man. Last question. What's your favorite movie of all time?
My favorite movie of all time. That's a tough question.
I know, right?
I'm 43. I've seen a lot of movies. What is my favorite movie? You know what? Back in the day, I used to like those. Something that stands out. It's like those Lethal Weapon movies.
Oh yeah, man! Old Lethal Weapon. He's always enjoyed that. Remember when he got in the fight in the rain out in the front yard?
Right.
Back then, like that was it, right? It's like, come on, you can do it. You can do it.
Right.
But I'm a big
fan of those 80s, early 90s action movies.
Yeah. No, those are great, man. Lethal Weapon is a classic, man.
Mm-hmm.
My other favorite part in the movie is when I forget his partner, but he went to the bathroom and the bomb was on the toilet.
Oh, yeah.
And he's in there with him like, we're going to do this together, man. We're going to do this together. I thought that was a great one. Well, Jason, listen, man, you've been great on here, man. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for being transparent about your deal and what you could have done different and, all the journey that you've gone through. And, for everybody who's watching this, look, this is a grind. You're not going to get to 50 deals your first year in most cases. You might prove me wrong, but just know, you got to build and you got to build your network and you got to keep moving forward to get into this business and be successful. Check out the description. Find Jason on social media, see what he's up to, what they're doing. His website will be in there too, and kind of check out everything they're doing. So, Jason, thanks again for being here, man. Appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. Hey, this is Zack Childress with another Coffee with Closers show, and you heard it here. Real investors doing real deals in a real market. This ain't no guru show. Let's see you on the next one. Zack Attack out. Bye, guys.